Okay, so in geometry today we did section 4.1 and it's called triangles and angles, and we had a warm-up problem, and I said with an elbow buddy do the following on the left-hand side of your Cornell notes here. So what we did was I gave you the slope of line R is 8 and the slope of line P is negative 1/8. Is R perpendicular to P, why or why not? And the answer is yes, because their slopes multiply to negative 1. I did over here. You can see that 8 times negative 1/8 gives you a negative 1, so the answer is yes. Then together as a class we came up with, okay, state the number of sides in each geometric figure. So a trapezoid has 4 sides, equilateral triangle has 3, a rhombus has 4 sides, we drew a picture of it, a parallelogram has 4 sides, and a scalene triangle has 3. Okay, then there's 2 boxes for this lesson in section 4.1. So I introduced the class giving them a definition for a triangle. So a triangle is a figure formed by 3 segments joining 3 non-collinear points, and then this is the figure of a triangle. I'm pretty sure everyone has seen a triangle before. The important thing that we wanted to figure out was how to classify triangles, okay? And it turns out that there are 2 ways you can classify triangles. You can either classify a triangle by its sides or by its angles. So there's 2 ways to classify a triangle. If you're classifying a triangle by sides, there are 3 types that you can have. You can have an equilateral triangle, an isosceles triangle, or you can have a scalene triangle. Those are the 3 types that you can have. If you're classifying a triangle by its angles, well, it turns out there are 4 classifications. You can have an acute triangle, an equilateral triangle by angles, a right triangle, and an obtuse triangle by angles. Okay, so you had 4 of those. And what we did was we took each of those and we put them onto our toolkit. Our toolkit looks like this. So I'll bring this back up. It looks like this right here. So we got our toolkits out, and I've got a blank toolkit thing at the top of the chapter 4 if you guys want to download that. And I also have mine available too. You can download that as well. So here's what we did. We said from section 4.1 we can talk about an equilateral triangle, how it has 3 congruent sides, and we drew a picture of it. And this is one way to categorize a triangle by sides. So we did side, side, and side by equilateral, isosceles, and scalene. And then we did angle, angle, angle. So the 4 ways to do it by classifying a triangle by its sides and then by its angles. So the second way is an isosceles triangle. An isosceles triangle has to have at least 2 congruent sides. And we drew a picture over here. So these are the 2 hash marks. That means that these 2 things are congruent. These little tick marks here. 4.1 scalene triangle means you have no congruent sides. So we drew a picture that this has 1 tick mark, this has 2, and this has 3 to indicate that they're all different. So no sides. Then 4.1, you can have an acute triangle. Acute means less than 90 degrees. So 3 acute angles, and you can have a triangle, and each one of these angles here is all less than 90 degrees. So that's an acute triangle. An equiangular triangle means that they have to have 3 congruent angles, so all 3 of these would represent like 60 degrees to be an equiangular triangle. We can have a right triangle, which means it has 1 right angle. Of course, we have the little square in the bottom left. And we can have an obtuse triangle, which means we have 1 angle that is greater than 90 degrees. So obtuse means greater than 90 degrees, and acute means, of course, less than 90. So download my toolkit if you need to. I'll put it up there for you, and you can grab that as well. Then we get back to the lesson here. Okay, so after that, we moved on to the second box, and we talked about the parts of a triangle, okay? And the parts of the triangle that we want to talk about are the vertices, the side, the legs, the hypotenuse, and then the base, okay? So for the part of a triangle, a vertice, that's where the sides come together. So in this case, A is a vertex, C is a vertex, and B is a vertex. The plural of vertex is vertice, okay? So every triangle has 3 vertices. The adjacent sides, well, that kind of depends on the angle that you're talking about. So what I did was here is I said, okay, let's focus on angle A for just a second. If I focus on angle A, then I have 2 adjacent sides for angle A. And those are, I'm pointing to them, they are highlighted in blue. So CA and BA are the 2 adjacent sides for angle A. Now that would be different if I was talking about angle B. If I was talking about angle B for an example, then this would be an adjacent side and this would be an adjacent side. 2 sides right next to each other of that angle. But for angle A, we're talking about this length highlighted in blue and this length highlighted in blue. So that leaves us to question, okay, then what is the other side called? Well, the other side is called the opposite side of angle A. So it's either going to be adjacent or opposite sides for a particular angle. So that's the adjacent and opposite sides. Talking about the legs, we're talking about a right triangle. A right triangle over here, as my picture indicates, over here on the right-hand side here. They have legs, right? So any right triangle will have two legs, and the side that is opposite the 90-degree angle is called the hypotenuse, and it's always opposite the right angle in the 90-degree right triangle. So the longest side is also called the hypotenuse. So for a right triangle. And then for the base, if you have an isosceles triangle, so this and this are the same, those are the two legs, and the part left over is called the base. Then I spoke about exterior versus interior angles, okay? An exterior angle of a triangle is one that's on the outside. Sort of if you extended one of your sides and kept going, it'd be on the outside. And then on the inside here is an interior angle. So on the inside here. So interior versus exterior angles. And that was it. And then after that we had a classwork assignment. It was page 198, numbers 1 through 9. And you were supposed to put it on the IKEA stool when you were done. Okay, that's the first part of section 4.1 for geometry.